Welcome to episode 67 of the Roundtable. I'm Grant Brisbee, here with McCullough and Marc Carig. Marc, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. The outfit, you're going full Brad Wilkerson. Who are you doing today? Who's your expo? Who's your guy?
We'll call it that.
Steve Rogers. I don't know. Who's your guy?
Do you just want me to name a random expo?
Please.
Larry Walker.
Okay.
What about not really random? He's a Hall of Famer. But
what about Fernando Seguinal? Or what was that guy's name? Seguinal?
I'm gonna take your word for it.
Fernando Pafatiganal?
Didn't Oil Can Boyd play in Montreal? Oil Can played there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Jeff Reardon played there too.
Yes, sir. Andy, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Just, Philadelphia Eagles won last night. Unstoppable juggernaut, have beaten every team that doesn't employ Patrick Mahomes. So since Mahomes retired, or I don't know, I assume the Taylor Swift thing will take down the Chiefs. So that's really my best hope for this winter.
Who would be the funniest baseball player to be dating Taylor Swift? Like who just in general would be the funniest?
Daniel Vogelbach.
That would be so awesome.
See,
Swifties are just parsing Daniel Vogelbach's star charts and talking about that would be good. Producer Brian says Bumgarner.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger would be funny, but Vogelbach, that's pretty good.
Pretty strong.
Yeah. I think maybe like Jose Altuve, maybe Kike Hernandez. Like we're talking like a guy who's like Taylor Swift has a couple inches on. I think that would be pretty cool. As a short guy, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it's look, Twitter or whatever. Twitter's sort of back, sort of not. I don't know. Like it's funny. It's whatever. It's a great. The CIA is doing a great job. Like they're doing a great job just diverting us from whatever is actually going on with this for sure.
Please,
Grant, didn't Ron Hassey play for the Expos? I'm sorry, I'm still caught.
Bill Lasky played for the Expos.
No, Ron Hassey, the catcher,
the
left-handed hitting catcher. Did he not play for the Expos?
Boy, I've got a lot of tops commons on the brain, but that one eludes me.
Okay, I'll have to Google it later. Sorry.
All right, so it's the end of the season. We've got less than a week left. We're going to talk a little awards, and I'll by saying that I wrote the NL West part of the power rankings this week. And let me just explain a little bit of how the sausage is made. I don't care about writing the power rankings. I mean, I put my heart, I try and make them readable. Come on, Mark. Don't, I have fun with it. I have fun with it. But at the same time,
you kind of exclusively use it to help gamble on baseball.
Well, I mean, that's for sure.
What's the matter with you guys? Seriously, stop it. God.
No,
stop.
I'm teasing. You can tell when you're reading the power rankings that I'm having fun and I'm trying to entertain. But at the
we're
same
having
time,
fun, damn it.
I wrote just like it was. I was getting to the Dodgers, and we were the gimmick is that we're handing out awards to every player. Some of them are serious, some of them are not.
Yeah.
And I just offhandedly said that Mookie Betts is, maybe deserving of the MVP.
Uh-oh.
Braves fans came after me.
Wow.
Braves fans are furious if you suggest that anyone other than Acuna is the MVP. And I was surprised by that because it was more of a way to point out that Mookie Betts is good. But boy, they don't want to hear it. So let's start with NL MVP talk because as of this writing, look, WAR is not so specific that you can go 0.1 and really care about it. Mookie Betts 8.1, Acuna 8.0. I don't care about that difference. It's, you can make it up through defense or stolen bases or what have you. I don't know. I think this is a coin flip for me, really a coin flip. I think Acuna, he's got the stolen bases, but he also has a bunch of caught stealings. Mookie Betts is the better defender. I don't know. But you can decide.
I'm going to make 3 points that are going to get increasingly more milquetoast. Maybe not. I don't know. 1, I don't vote. 2, Mookie Betts should win. 3, Acuna is going to win, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think that's right, except for the part where you don't rock the vote.
I don't vote. No, that's no.
MTV told us to rock the vote. I mean, rock the damn vote. No, I think you're right. Listen, I
Well,
think
so
the
here's the argument
Yeah.
for Betts, right? Just to be clear, like, because look, Acuna's awesome. Like, he's gonna win probably. He's totally deserving. He's similar to last year when Aaron Judge was like the story of the season, in a way that kind of eclipsed what Shohei Ohtani did, which was probably more statistically valuable, obviously. Acuna's been the story of the season in the National League. He's done a sort of round numbers statistical achievement, the 40-70 thing that's never been done before. That's kind of, that's captivating. He's an 8-win player on the best team in the sport. So like totally awesome. Good for him. Great year. I think if they're both equal, and since their hitting is fairly close, like very close, I think that Betts would tip the scale for me with just his ability to play the field, to play second base, and the way that, he's able to credibly move around, 2 positions, and in a pinch, he can play shortstop. That tips it slightly towards Betts. Most people are, I would assume that Acuna is going to win, probably get like 20 of the 30 votes, and like, whatever, that's awesome. Good for him. He had a great year.
That's about right. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. I think the defensive versatility would tip it a little bit. And I put that in the power rankings, which I want to just clarify. I really care about the power rankings, specifically the specific order in which the teams were arranged. I put that in there and people are like, shut up. No, it's Acuna. It's stolen bases. It's this.
Shut up, Grant.
Just shut up. Once someone says shut up, what can you do? But I think Betts is just, But I'm not going to parse this, and I'm glad I don't have to be honest.
What?
I don't care.
Sorry, Mark, we're cutting you
No,
off.
just this is so obviously Acuna's award, so I don't.
Whoa!
Like he's doing things that have never been done before. Goodness, for a team that's probably one of the best we're going to see, and he plays every day.
Yeah,
and
it's
he
like they
beats
changed
you
the
in
rules.
100 different ways. Yeah, it's like they
made
changed
the bases
rules.
bigger.
That's true. That is true. But you know what?
It's like it's easier to steal than it used to be.
So he's playing the game that he can go play. So I don't know. Like you look at this guy, and Acuna is a nightmare for opponents. It's an absolute nightmare. And we're gonna see it now. The playoffs, it doesn't count for these awards, but when the playoffs start, you're gonna see just how much of a pain in the ass this guy's going to be for whoever the Braves are playing. That's not to say that Mookie isn't either. I mean, Mookie Betts is unbelievable, and I think that is his best argument. And you guys have mentioned it, the fact that he can play 2 different spots credibly. That's a big deal. All right. That said, what the other guy's doing is just, I don't know. That's next level stuff to me, and it checks all the boxes. The performance is there. It all adds up statistically. He's doing something without precedent. And on top of it, like as far as just the eye test and subjectively watching the guy take over games is a lot of fun. So he's sort of what you envision in an MVP player. Looks the part, plays the part. It's sort of hard to argue. Although, I mean, again, like Betts is great and all that, but I think it's more a thing of, I think Acuna has just been that good that like when you watch him, it's so clear. Like, oh my God, this is, when you think of an MVP, this is the type of player that you sort of imagine.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like that with Mookie Betts. When I watch Mookie Betts, because I see him a little bit more often on Giants Dodgers, this guy's the best. Son of a gun. He makes me say son of a gun to the TV.
He is the baseball player you would select with the first pick if you needed to win a game tonight, I think.
Well, he's probably the smartest player in the sport. Wouldn't you say?
If you need to win a game tonight, I think it is Mookie Betts for me.
Yeah.
Is that weird? I don't think so. Yeah.
I mean, but Acuna might be like the second pick. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great framing it that way. I'd still probably take Acuna, to be honest with you. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, it really is. Like I just looked at it now. Like Betts has 1,000 OPS, and Acuna has 1,010 OPS. They're both 167 OPS plus, right? Like Acuna's played a week more of games, which actually is, you could, if you wanted to argue against it, right? Like that kind of takes away a little bit of the defensive utility. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is an interesting sort of we're in a new realm of MVP debates, right? Because as you know, like we all think back to what's like the, from our era, what is the classic MVP debate, right? It's Trout versus Cabrera. In which you were just like, you had to like pretend that Miguel Cabrera sucked to make your point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you had to just be like, he can't play third base, like do, stuff like that. When it was really just like, I don't know, you're not going to convince people that like a Triple Crown is less valuable than, so whatever. Like it's, I don't know. It's a more, I don't know if you have like, if you're really far on one side of this outside of like being partisan and just like wanting your the player you root for to win, like you're kind of, I don't know, man, like this is a tough one. Like these guys are really close. Whoever wins is going to be deserving, and it's probably going to be Acuna, and good for him.
Well, this is perfect symmetry because we can just go right onto the AL MVP discussion where it's clearly Alex Verdugo, right? Alex Verdugo. Damn it.
Alex Verdugo.
Verdugo. I did it again. I've done that before on this podcast. Verdugo. I don't say that name a lot, but the Red Sox are getting an MVP. Well, the joke's fucked now. So let's just let's actually go serious and talk about the AL MVP. You got a couple of Rangers. You got Shohei, who I don't know. How much do you debit this last month of non-Shohei-ness from his case?
Not at all.
No,
I don't know. I just like who are you? You could say Corey Seager, right? Mm-hmm. Corey Seager's been incredible. He's going to play like 120 games, right? He was injured, so like the fact that he was healthy at the I don't know. I feel like for as long as Ohtani does both, right, at the level that he's done it, he kind of has to default to being the MVP unless someone does something really crazy, like hit 62 home runs on a record we all totally cared about before last year. So like it just has to be Ohtani. He's a 10-win player. I mean,
yeah. Okay. So we're 2 awards into this, and what do we got? We got like 12 minutes. We got to fill like 30 minutes, guys. They can't all be this easy, or else we're going to be talking like comeback player of the year or something.
The NL Cy Young, we could do 45 minutes.
That's a train wreck.
Yeah,
it's a train wreck.
Is a nightmare.
Oh my God. It is awful. Like looking at it last night, and I'd sort of been somewhat paying attention to it, but I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody's going to get screwed hard. Like, I mean, there's some really compelling cases for these guys here.
Yep.
So I mean, your boy Webb, man, it's got 216 innings and might not win this thing, and then good ones, and might not win it because they don't win enough. Andy, like, I mean, he's got a losing record, and it's gonna hurt him with some of these voters.
No, it's because he should win his games.
Did you catch last night? Did you catch a head-to-head matchup with Blake Snell? Blake Snell pitched 7 good, strong innings. Giants still haven't scored a run off him this year, which is impressive. But he didn't pitch the 8th or the 9th. The Giants actually scored 2 runs. Logan Webb pitched the whole game, baby. He pitched the whole game. He wanted to win that game. He got the win. I mean, it sounds like he probably should have tried that play earlier in the year. He did actually against the Rangers, and it didn't work out.
Oh, no.
But
who's going to finish second in the American League MVP? Is it Seager?
Oh,
like
back to AL. Could be Gunnar Henderson. Could be Seager. I mean, we got Marcus Semien. I think he's getting a lot of his WAR from his defense, which generally doesn't translate to those MVP stats. Boy, I didn't realize that Wander Franco had such a high WAR. Oh,
too soon.
All right, I think Gunnar Henderson though. Jesus, that got no laughs. Fuck. Brian, you might want to.
Tough room. My goodness.
But yeah, Seager's solid. I mean, I know he's missed time, but he's been so good for them.
They give you one thing to consider when you vote for MVP. One. It's the only guidance they give. Games played. Okay.
Really?
No, seriously.
It's
no.
True. Yeah, it's true.
It's
I
true.
didn't know that.
It's the only. Yeah. Well, So like.
Wow.
What? They didn't send those ballots to the Usenet group. Okay. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry. They didn't have Grant's mom's basement's address.
No, sir. I had thoughts though. I'll pull them up on Twitter. You
No,
name a
but,
year,
like-
I got thoughts.
For real,
believe
that's
it.
the only thing they tell you
Yeah.
is games played. And I always, for me, when I voted, I always gave it more weight because of that. So if you look at the American League side, I mean, Julio Rodriguez is 149 games. He's gonna end up playing 100 and whatever 50 something games this year. Simeon's in the same boat. So like, I think you could make an argument that it's those types of guys, the dudes who posted, especially if the guy who won it is going to play $135, but was a 10-win player, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if we're talking about second place, I think it's the guys who posted. So, and I think you can, I don't know. I kind of took that, for the other awards too. Like, I just think posting's important. So
Yeah,
like
sure.
when I look at this mess of the NL Cy Young, I'm looking at innings pitched, right? It's why Webb stands out to me. He's so far ahead of the pack. So anyway,
I like using innings pitched, not because I'm a big fat homer, but just because you're thinking about Blake Snell as being Blake Snell on an island. Well, if you're comparing him to someone who's got substantially more innings, it's Blake Snell plus Robert Suarez, or Blake Snell plus the guys who are coming in after him. And is that going to be the Cy Young winner? I don't know. I think Blake Snell is a perfectly fine Cy Young winner. I don't necessarily care about FIP or expected stats as much as ERA when it comes to retroactively awarding a season. If you've got an ERA that's 0.01 and your FIP is 4, I don't care. I'm giving it to the guy with the 0.01 ERA. But it's an interesting, he also leads the league in walks. He's got 180 innings instead of 216 innings. He's going to win. I think he's going to win, but it's close.
No. You think Snell will win? Yeah.
And you know what? I know he's been the favorite as far as Vegas goes, and it's been all the talk. And I agree with you on that point, Grant. I don't really care about what should have happened, and that's what we're talking about with like FIP. Yeah. I care about what actually happened, and that's what the ERA says. All right. Now that said, like, man, it's if you just take away all that and look at the innings, like you say, like he's sort of on the lower end. If you look at like his value just on straight wins above replacement, he's well below the rest of that pack. Now, some of that is like, the other guys have thrown more innings. So obviously that counting stat and whatever, but
you're looking at Fangraphs. Fangraphs is talking about what should have happened. Baseball Reference, he's leading. He's got a little bit, and you're talking about how Vegas is talking about. Boy, don't I know it. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's like it's such a weird, thing. I don't know. Snell, he's got the 2.25 ERA, right? Like that's like literally a full run lesser than Webb. Right, it's like that's straight up full, and that's really impressive. So, I guess like what I'm saying is that should feel pretty straight up, but for me it doesn't. Like it's hard for it to be straight up when you see some of these other guys who, all right, like you can look at the numbers, but they also just sort of pass the test when you watch them. Right, like Spencer Strider looks like someone who should have a Cy Young award. Like he goes out there and misses a ton of bats and is dominant. Zach Wheeler snuck up on everybody again. Another like great season from him. Yep. He won't win it, but like, again, he's put himself in the running. Your boy Zach Gallen has 17 wins, so
and over 200 innings.
I mean, is he? Yeah. He just crossed over exactly. So I mean, dude, impressive for a team that's in the hunt, and I think so. That drives people crazy when you look at team performance in these things. But I feel like when you got a bunch of people clustered together, you sort of have to, like it becomes a tie. It's like the number one tiebreaker to me is if you got some people who are kind of close. I would say, well, in what context did they do this? Well, I think playing for something is important in that regard. So, and that's a check in Gallen's favor right there.
I think it's funny how when we talk about most valuable player, you always add in a little bit of that context. Well, they were going for a postseason spot, or they were doing this, or here's how he changed the game when he was playing. Whereas with pitchers, it's just what are the stats? Because it's not the most valuable pitcher. It's very much an individual award. But I think that hoses someone like Webb, where his team had a 2-man rotation or a 3-man rotation for a chunk of the season. And if he's out there doing a 5 and dive, his team is screwed up. in so many different ways. And that's not fair, I think, to have a pitcher and say, we're kind of relying on you to pitch all these innings. But he did it, and he didn't. I think that should count a little bit. That's because I'm a raging homer, but also the context in which he's doing it was very important to the Giants.
Yeah, I guess the counter would be, though, like, are you dinging someone who pitches on a team that knows they're going to be playing in the postseason, that has a decent bullpen, who takes someone out after 6 innings rather than pushing them through 8? Because, you know what I mean? Like, there are no longer pitchers who you can just dial in for 7 innings a night, except for, Webb pretty much has been one of those guys. But, like, there are a lot of teams who, if the team is good and the bullpen is good, they will often go 6 and just take him out. Like Strider is a good example, right? Where it's like, why would we push him, here in August when we know we're going to need him in October? Whereas, in the case of like Sandy Alcantara last year or Logan Webb this year, it's like we need to push him, in Webb's case, because like we need to get to October, or in Alcantara's case, it's like, I don't know, just let him go. He's awesome. He's our best player. I don't know. It's like, because these standards have changed, because teams manage pitchers differently, it's become a very challenging award, but at the same time, like, Strider's got a 3.8 ERA. That's too high to win the Cy Young award. I just, like, he's awesome. He's gonna he's gonna pitch in the postseason, and like he does incredible. Like, he misses tons of bats. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But like, having closer to a 4 than a 3, like, you can't.
Dude's got 19 wins. You hypocrite.
Yeah, he's a great pitcher.
Like, he wins his game. What the hell else do you want from him? Bust your table too? Are you kidding? He's got 19 freaking wins.
He's got 274 strikeouts. That is wild. That's
bananas. And 19 wins.
This is outrageous.
This is outrageous, Andy. You're the one that like went to bat for wins. You're gonna have to like say that the 19-game winner doesn't deserve a Cy Young award because of his ERA. Like, what is this stat nerd stuff?
Stop doing it. Bit. I don't like it when you do bits.
I'm sorry.
I don't like it when you do bits. We've only got enough room on this podcast for so much nonsense.
Oh my God, Andy, I'm sorry. So that's like twice in the last month that I've got him on a bit. I'm sorry.
You know what I was thinking about is I was at the Death Cab Postal Service show. Yes. And I was imagining, like me going there and loving Ben Gibbard's music is like when people tweet at Jason Isbell to sort of be like, do you mind if people don't agree with your politics, but they like your music? Like, that's like me being like, wins matter at the Death Cab show. He's like, it's so embarrassing that this guy's here. Anyway, it's a little inside.
I like it.
I think Snell is going to win because he has the simplest case. He's won it before, which helps his case. He has a 2.25. I don't know if I would vote for him. I think that I would probably. I think that I would vote for Logan Webb.
An 11-game winner with a sub 500 record.
Yeah, let's talk about what the Giants have done in those games that he pitches. It's not pretty.
Maybe I would vote for Gallen. I don't know. It's really tough.
It's
so hard. It's so much harder to vote for than it was however many years ago when it was like, hey, look, we got 5 awesome guys. Hey, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Clayton Kershaw, they all made 34 starts this year. Right. And they all surpassed 200 innings, and they all had a sub 2.25 ERA. Well, just, toed up, like, which one of these do you like? Like 2015, you got Jake Arrieta, Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw. And they all kind of did the same thing, or at least had the same type of restrictions or whatever. And you could just decide at the end, like, all right, they ran a race, and here's who ran it the best. Now it's like, I don't know, one guy's running a race, one guy's running a marathon, one guy's doing the steeplechase. Like, it's just who the heck knows.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I like that sort of debate.
Since this is such a mess, I'm just curious. What is the pool of players in this group where you could justify a first place vote for? Like, let's start there. Like, because you know what I mean? Because they're gonna be guys who are good. But like, if you had an actual ballot in your hand, you'd be like, I don't know if that's a first place vote guy. All right. I think we could agree that, like, okay, you've said Webb.
Yeah.
said Snell, right? Just because he's won
Snell,
it and like
sure,
he's got the
yes.
lowest ERA of the group. All right.
Yep.
Sure.
Who else? Okay, so we got two guys. Who else would justify first place vote?
Wheeler.
Gallon.
Wheeler and
and
Gallo.
Wheeler.
So that's 4.
Strider.
Strider's 5.
Strider.
Justin Steele. I would
Steele. So we got 6 dudes.
Steele, I don't think you could.
We got 5.5 dudes
Yeah.
that you could justify for a first place vote. Good luck.
Yeah.
See, and then when you look at those, now we got 5.5. Let's just throw them in 6 guys. Okay, half a dozen pitchers that you could see getting a first place vote. The only one that hasn't pitched in like actual like for stakes is the dude who's probably going to win the thing, Blake Snell.
I mean,
he's the only one. Like of the
yeah.
6 guys, they've all pitched in. I mean, Webb. Well, okay, Webb, but like they were in it a lot longer than the Padres were. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, dude, 6 guys could get a first place vote. The guy who's probably going to win it, the guy who's the odds-on favorite in Vegas to win it,
don't I know it?
It hasn't pitched for in a game that mattered in like 5 weeks. So,
well, the Padres might be the 3rd best team in the National League, so you never know. But yes,
I generally don't give a rat when it comes, especially Cy Young. Like, even MVP, it's like I always have that thing. You're telling an Angels fan that Shohei Ohtani doesn't have value to them? How dare you? Because he does have value to Angels baseball writ large. I think that it has a very specific kind of value. But when it comes to the pitchers, it's just because it's such a singular activity, who was out there pitching the best, to me, is how that works. When I bring in the context about Webb, he's shouldering more of the load. Yeah, that's like a cherry on top. That's a I don't know.
Well, I bring it up
when you say out there pitching the best, right? They're doing different things. They have different assignments.
Sure.
Sure. Strider has a different assignment than Logan Webb.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I don't, you could justify voting for Strider just because it's the first time. I don't know. It's the first time someone has thrown 180 innings, like essentially with reliever rate stats. It seems like So like that is that's impressive. But he is a 3.8. It's just too high for me.
We should get Spencer Strider on this podcast, and all 4 of us, and we can just talk indie rock the whole time.
Would love that.
Because you've seen a spreadsheet where he's talking Strokes. He's got every Strokes album ranked and rated and stuff. And we're just
I'm the one who first wrote about his Strokes stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Mark? Oh, the Strokes were a band, Mark.
Oh, okay. I'll Google it.
Yeah. Google the Strokes with like some other word.
Grant, man.
Yeah, Grant. Like seriously, let's keep it like PG-13 around. Not like last your happy ending freaking line at the end of the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
God, man.
Yeah. Grant's trying to torpedo all of our careers and also just get out his bad 5 minutes of improv. It's good stuff.
All right. Give me a profession.
Baseball writer.
That's me doing nothing, right?
that's me during the postseason when the Giants are out. I'm
just
chilling.
letting the world come to me. I'm gonna be live blogging like the NLCS.
That's
World Series.
That's fun.
Yeah, we needed a voice, so we settled for Grant. Damn, I said that out loud. I shouldn't be talking about meetings like that openly in the podcast.
We scanned the company far and wide for a distinct voice who we could use for this, but Rosenthal was occupied, so we got Grant.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll reference like what are those commercials? Viagra commercials from like 6 years ago. Remember the British chick that would come on and be like, "Fellas, how are you doing there in the bedroom?" Remember that? I'll make references to those commercials.
What kind of shit do you watch?
The postseason.
That was in the postseason?
Dude, I don't know if you know this about baseball's demographic. But fellas need help out there. And
one of those sponsors us, don't they?
Roman, for a while, I was reading all sorts of podcast ads. I think it was like 2 years ago, where I was just like, "Fellas, are you?" And I would lean into it a little bit because what are you going to do? I don't know. Andy, did you ever have to read a Roman ad?
I think I did once, and
you seem like you would get the ass.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, I offered to do it in various impressions, and they made me do it as myself. So that was kind of frustrating. Yeah. Producer Brian confirms I did have the ass whenever that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. One of these days, I don't know if it's appropriate for public consumption, but did you guys ever read my tweet thread on Delta 8?
No.
So we read ads for CBD, the CBD.
Oh,
company,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so they sent a box to me, and I don't necessarily do CBD or whatever. I was like, okay, maybe it's supposed to work for knee pain and insomnia and, ingrown toenails and whatever. So I took one, and apparently there's something called Delta 8, which is just like legal weed under a weird name. And I didn't realize it. And so I was on the couch, like flopping around. I missed my daughter's back to school night.
Oh, no.
Bad news.
Oh, no.
That's
Bad
a great
news.
ad read there, Grant.
Yeah. So
what are you guys watching the final week of the regular season, huh? How about that?
Wait, no. Wait a minute. We're not done. No, we're not done yet.
and that was the most uncomfortable segue. Andy, I could see him just like squirming a little bit.
Have we not covered National League Manager of the Year yet?
I can't.
So who finishes second to Buck Showalter? Is it who's playing for second for Buck? Because like Buck, once again, like the team sucks. They break the whole thing down. They play uninspired baseball. Now there's story after story about how none of it's his fault and he should be back. So like to me, that's the Manager of the Year. He has found a way to make it not his fault again, man. Congratulations to Buck. I wish him nothing but success. I thought it'd be 5, I think, for him. They should just name the award after him at this point, the Buck Showalter Award. So,
as a voter for the National League Manager of the Year, I have no comment.
Are you really?
Yeah.
They let you do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Usenet dorks must be stoked for you.
Yeah. I'm on the other side of the rope. Maybe. I got all sorts of stats that I'm using, things you haven't heard of. You ever heard of FPR6? Yeah. That's what I'm using, baby.
Wow.
That's
was this like another ad read?
Says
they gave you instead of
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he was flopping around on the couch during back to school night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know. I will be curious to see what the Mets do with Showalter. I can see the arguments for keeping him and that there is a lot more to be done with the sort of big league roster, with the infrastructure, with all that. But the obvious arguments for moving on are, Mark articulates them every week on this show. So
I was gonna say, or did we really segue from awards into Buck Showalter's?
I regret it already.
I mean, look, it's our last regular season pod of the year. Like, we might as well, play the hits.
He'll be back next year. He should be. There, I said it. It's fine.
Oh, man.
He should be. He should be.
I don't know
Why not? Why
All
not?
right. Let's move to rookie of the Corbin Carroll. All right.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll, Gunnar Henderson.
Next.
Whose idea was it to do an award show?
I also mentioned that we could talk about like the races.
Fine.
Like politics?
No, not.
I'll tell you this: the Blue Jays
Oh.
cannot stop winning since Ken Rosenthal put out there that I called them paper tigers back in April. So that's
God.
awesome.
Ken loves this. Like
Ken, I've been hung out to dry by a small man who drives a hard bargain.
He is hitting you. He's just like a bow-tied fella swinging at a pinata right now. You're the pinata. Like, and he loves it. Like you can tell there's joy every time he references it.
Yeah, he was like Andy's a genius. And then they go on like an 8-game winning streak and he goes, "Hey, remember that idiot who had that point that I brought up last week?" Yeah.
Like
hey, if you're in Canada, why don't you tell this
exchanges.
moron? Meanwhile, the Blue Jays are, cruising into the last wild card spot. So that's cool.
I think that the Astros should have been eliminated from postseason contention when they got swept by the Royals at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like automatic. Just like we see the standings, but there should be some clause that just like a trap door opens up and they
I will probably talk. I talk about this team all the time, but and we should get a bell for the 2014-2015 Royals and also the 2018 Dodgers. This Astros team They remind me of the
Mhm.
2018 Dodgers, where it's just like they
Mhm.
know how good they are, and they just kind of like keep tripping over their own feet. And look, they've got like a game and a half, it looks like right now, over Seattle. They crushed Luis Castillo last night. They look
Mhm.
terrifying when they're right. I mean, they had Justin Verlander go out there and shove against essentially a postseason game. The lineup is great. Like they've got deep, dangerous lineup. They've got, seasoned hitters, all that stuff. No one wants to play them. And they also might not make the tournament. I mean, it's just, and it's like, they know all these things. They know how good they are. They know that they can sort of turn it on. And to know that the team who I think there's a really good chance will represent the American League in the World Series in like a month, got swept by the Royals a week ago. Like, you would understand that if you watched the 2018 Dodgers every day, like I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great comp. And I think they are very. I was joking around on Twitter the other day about, the Padres are the team you don't want to play in the postseason. All right. They're not going to make the postseason. But anyway, the Astros truly are the one that I feel like you should be terrified if that's your draw. If they make the tournament and you're facing them, scary stuff, because they can turn it on. Like Andy said, when they're on, they look great. We've seen it like that all year. Earlier in the year, it was like injuries. It went through a bunch of stuff. And I find odd about this season, and maybe it's just recency bias, because I'm sure this happens every year, but it feels like every team in this wild card race within the last 6 weeks, you could Google the team name and the word collapse, and a bunch of stories have come up. Like everybody's taking turns shitting the bed.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure that happens to some extent every year because it's baseball, but damn, it is really noticeable this year, right? Like, how many of these teams have we buried? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're done. The Diamondbacks took their turn. The Rangers took their turn. The Jays took their turn.
The Reds,
right?
the Cubs.
Reds, because Astros were just recently in it,
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, this is a collapse. Oh, and then anyway, it feels like, and again, I have no sense of whether this is true or not, but it just feels like we have watched a bunch of teams collapse to the point where it was like, oh, they're dead and buried. Right.
Yeah.
Or they're like really strong. They're real trouble. And now they're like, either in wild card position or right there, which is funny to me. It's happened in both leagues, a bunch of teams.
Yeah, I think the extra spot it's more spots for people to complain about, or not complain about, but think about contending for. But at the same time, if there were just 2 wild card spots, if the format were the old perfect way, where you had 1 game wild card playoff, it would still be all these teams fighting for. It would just be that you knew the Phillies would be in, but it'd still be the Diamondbacks, Cubs, Marlins, Reds, until the Giants messed the bed and then rolled around in it. The Giants. So it still would be like this with 2 wild cards as opposed to 3. 3 just adds like a safety net that shouldn't be there. I don't know. I hate the 3rd wild card. I'm still bitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. I mean, if it's long term, I think it's going to have a net negative. But at this time of year, it means you can watch games with more, that makes the games a little bit more compelling, I think. It hasn't had a super negative effect on like the postseason or whatever. Obviously the Phillies, wreaked a little havoc last year, but they were fun. They had good players, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. It's like if we had 2 wild cards, right? Like the Mariners would just be out. Like they'd be 4 games back with 5 or 6 to play. It would just be over. Now they've got something to play for.
Yeah, but that's kind of what they deserve.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yes.
They
have earned that.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the Giants would have been out, 2 weeks ago or whatever, right? And so the argument for having the 3rd wild card is they wanted to force you, like the guy in Clockwork Orange, to have to watch the team for another month.
But so I get that. At the same time, Giants fans hated that they had to watch that team with some measure of like, maybe I'm going to start caring again, because this is actively not a fun team to watch. And so, Giants fans are bitter. They're sitting there like, I guess I got to watch because they're still contending. And then they're, just like doing that to the TV.
Yeah,
Rand,
you wrote something. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Like I haven't listened to KNBR like I normally would like to, because I haven't been up late. Could you like just in like 15 seconds describe why exactly Giants fans detest this particular team? Like, I mean, detest them. Like, it's
Grant
not
wrote something really good about this like last week, maybe. So
yeah. It's really just it's a lot of things. It's the Dodgers are always going to be the Dodgers. They're just going to keep contending and keep pushing it down Giants fans' throats. It's going to be the heightened expectations of 2021. It's going to be it's not baseball that you're used to, where you've got openers 2 or 3 times through the rotation. You've got Jock Peterson come up in the 4th inning. No, he's getting pinch hit for JD Davis because there's a couple runners on base. It's a bunch of just average stretched out enough to its breaking point where it starts to bow like silly putty, a little bit below average. There's only so much you can do with this roster. So I don't necessarily get the, Kepler, but there's a big part of that. I don't know what he's supposed to do with this roster. I mean, have you seen this roster?
Yeah, they've kind of maximized it. It feels like, to maximize it creates like an aesthetically unappealing product.
100%.
But I just can't see like Bruce Bochy taking over and be like, well, now we got 95 wins. Like it just come on, it's not going to happen. Anyways, that's why they're so mad.
It's like spare parts baseball.
Baseball.
Because the Red Sox are that way too. It's spare part, right? Like
it's also slow. The team is the slowest in baseball by a bunch, and they strike out a ton. And they're not hitting for the kind of power that, okay, so you strike out, but you're hitting 200 homers. No, they don't have that kind of power either. So it's just like an unappealing aesthetic team.
I loved it when you once described, you were like, they strike out all the time and they don't hit the ball hard. It's a really bad combination.
Yeah, that is a really bad.
You'll take the strikeouts if they're in service of something.
Correct.
They're not.
You're trading it for something.
Yeah. So it's like the plan is to have a bunch of 110 OPS plus guys. And then once you have a bunch of 9,500 OPS guys, it stops working when they can't catch the ball or run the bases and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah, that's frustrating. So congrats. Thank you to the commissioner's office for, giving you a reason to keep going with this team.
But honestly, it's like it makes fans mad that they have to care about this. Yeah. It's a weird, like you looked at when it was proposed, it's like, well, more teams will be caring in the postseason, but you're not accounting for the fans that are really just sort of done with their team and looking at football training camp. And, it's like there's an extra bitterness that comes with it.
It's almost like people knowing they're getting ripped off, but they can't help themselves, right? Is that what it's like?
Yeah.
Because the team's not good.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to make the playoffs. And even if they did, they're going to get like run out of there, right? Like you have no belief in them whatsoever, except the standings are telling you, hey, you should watch this. And then you do.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the only other thing that you can come back with is the 2014 Giants very much felt like this, very much limped to the postseason. And they had one pitcher. And what can you do in the postseason when you got one good pitcher?
True.
Right? And so
but were they hated though, like this?
No, it was disappointing. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. But you had the recent success that was a buffer against the anger. Whereas like now it's just like, Kepler, Saidi and Moneyball and stats, iPads.
It's anti-analytics in some ways.
For sure. Because this is very much a team that relies on analytics in a way that's very visible. Every team relies on analytics, even the Royals now. But it's like under the surface, and you've got players who are doing it. Where it's with the Giants, it's so right in front of your face.
They're doing like old school analytics. They're doing like, guys, we've got players who we want to face right-handed pitchers, and then we have another group of players who want to face left-handed pitchers. We're gonna partner them up. We're gonna call it a buddy system. Okay. And when your buddy is in the game, you better make sure that the pitcher doesn't throw with the hand that you throw with, because if he does, then you need to shout buddy, because then it's your turn and your buddy has to come off the plate. Right.
Yep.
That's basically every game.
Yeah. That's every game. And then you've got Gabe Kapler sitting down talking with Jock Peterson's like, Jock, we want you to play the outfield. And Jock's like, oh, that seems pretty hard. No, that's not hard. Tell him Wash. And Wash is like, it's incredibly hard.
God, I love that scene. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
Tell him Wash. It's incredibly hard.
One day we have to talk about how it's ridiculous that Moneyball got made into a watchable movie because it shouldn't be. That's not a cinematic book. And I get that they did Art How Dirty and they didn't mention the pitchers who I guess had a little success for the A's. But just to make it into a watchable movie, supremely watchable.
I know this is very off topic, but man, is that the most tired argument that I've heard? Like, it's not a goddamn documentary; it's a movie. All right, like it's not a documentary. Like, what do you guys?
I appreciate I appreciate it as a movie. That's what I'm saying. I will say the book. You could probably sneak him in a book. You know what I mean? You could probably get a little chapter on the three aces.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think for the movie, like exactly. I remember Roger Ebert's review of JFK. He's like, I don't care if this is true. I care about it as a movie.
Right.
It's a pretty cool movie. And I always loved that review. It really made me rethink how I saw cinema.
But it is true. If you talk to baseball people about that movie, the first thing they talk about is Art How being done dirty.
Yeah.
Whew. Really, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
Well, if you talk to the classic baseball man, right? Like they'll say that. But if you talk to a baseball player, they're like, dude, that's where I learned about adapt or die. It's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. This has been episode 67. We'll be back, I guess, next week. We're talking postseason ball.
Week, yeah, we'll be. I don't know. Producer Brian can inform us, but I don't know if we'll be able to get our episode out before the games start that Tuesday. Definitely, we'll be out by Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know.
No,
the postseason does start on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find a senior writer from the Athletic, or a managing editor from the Athletic, or whatever Grant does, who can tell us.
Staff writer.
Whatever Grant does.
Staff writer is my official title.
Keyboard warrior.
I was a senior writer at SB Nation. They busted me down when I got fancy.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Come on. Well, we got to rectify that right away.
I mean, if it comes with a
I'm just kidding. I can't do that.
You got me.
Wow.
That's funny.
See, you don't like it when Carig does bits, do you?
No, it kind of hurts.
Think about all of the money you could have gotten from that raise, how you could have gambled it on the NL Cy Young.
Yeah, as opposed to just gambling it with my own money. I'm not gambling on that stuff. I'm doing like smaller stuff like NL Manager of the Year. Anyways, all right. We will be back. I'm kidding. Yeah. Son of a, I don't even know how to place a bet. My gosh, I'm so sheltered.
He was lying again. Oh, stop. He's got all the apps on his phone. Like, I don't want to place a bet.
Let me show you what's on my phone.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
I'm going to stop recording now. That's about what we do.